So off and underway, the game's rapidly running out for Leicester City to save themselves and try and avoid that relegation playoff. This is the first of 4 remaining fixtures to come for them, all in quick succession between now and the end of the season. But London City Lionesses with plenty to play for as well, as they look to return to winning ways. They too have been struggling for form recently. They too have made changes today, looking to impose themselves on the game early on. That Rianne Skinner will be important.
Absolutely. As I say, I think that setting the tone for the start of the game is going to be really important. Leicester need to try and get themselves in a position where they're at an advantage. They're feeling confident in the way that they're playing to be able to get something out of this game. And obviously with Nikita Parris back in the side for London City, Izzy Goodwin, you know, both have been really effective in creating and scoring goals for London City. So it's going to be important to keep them quiet throughout the course of the game as well.
Really fascinating tactical tussle in store. They've both had plenty of time on the training ground to fine-tune preparations, albeit, as mentioned, a number of players away with their countries. That particularly the case for the London City Lionesses. 12 players away, representing 7 different nations during the most recent international break of the season.
I think you can see straight away by the shape. London City are playing in a 4-2-3-1, Leicester 5-3-2, trying to get a little bit of width with the use of Sarah Malin for Leicester City on the right-hand side and Ashley Neville on the left-hand side. And sometimes that allows you to create some overloads in wide areas against the back four. So clearly trying to create some width and use that, Leicester City, to try and break London City down.
There's McLaughlin. Otherwise brought back into the starting lineup, having come off the bench in the last couple of games. Thibault to Sari Case, followed by Swaby. He's one of those away on international duty. Became the first Jamaican to reach 50 caps for her country. Are you surprised at the change of shape by Leicester City? Something, I guess, had to change after recent results.
Yeah, no, I'm not really too surprised. I think, you know, before Christmas they were conceding less goals, and in the shape that they're utilising now, I think they've got to make sure they stay compact and stay in the game. So if that's been something that they've deemed as being effective, then obviously that will help them. I think, you know, natural ability to get forward from Ashley Neville and from Sarah Malin, both of which can cross. So it gives a slightly different dimension to it. And with Chantal Swaby, Julie Thibault, Sari Keys, that, you know, they're experienced centre half, so it makes sense to kind of utilise them if there's going to be any dangerous threats in aerial situations, you know, but all three are competitive, so it creates an opportunity. I mean, I think essentially what will be interesting is how the front two of Rachel Williams and Shannon O'Brien are able to stretch the defence and get into key areas for Leicester City to cause some problems, because obviously if you're going to use width for crossing, Rachel Williams is fantastic in the air, by the way, and so if they get the ball into her in key areas, I think she'll pose a real threat. And London City have adjusted with moving Alana Kennedy into the starting lineup. She's playing in midfield. Saki Kumagai's dropped back to centre half alongside Isa Cardinal, so that's a relationship that's not been had so far for London City. So, you know, if Leicester can play it right, they might catch them a little bit unawares because they've not built those relationships in as many games so far.
Yeah, interesting move from the Spanish coach, Eda Maestre. Just the one win in 8 league games in charge so far. After stepping in, of course, halfway through the season to replace Jocelyn Pressure. Here is Neville, teasing that forward towards the run of Shannon O'Brien. Gets there ahead of Cardinal. Issa Cardinal stood her ground and defended it well.
Yeah, we've not seen a lot of Isa Cardinal, but I've watched her a lot in the past, and she's a fantastic 1v1 defender. Really composed for a young player. She's really positionally aware, and I think she's used her body really well in that situation there against Shannon O'Brien, who's a tough customer when she's running at you.
Big day certainly for Cardinal, stepping into the starting lineup for the first time in this division, making only her second appearance for the club since that summer signing from Ajax. They both come against Leicester City. Kumagai goes back to Elena Letta in goal. Here is Cardinal, certainly very highly thought of. Iona Fernandez, who's away with Spain, and used on the bench against England actually in the international break. Referee will step in here and give the free kick in favour of Cascarino, making her first start since that signing from San Diego Wave in January.
Yeah, I think it's a clever little bit of skill there, just shows her capabilities, and we've not seen enough of her really in the league so far, unfortunately, but that's just shown a little bit of the threat she's going to create there against Swaby. Obviously, you can, in the last couple of seconds there, you can see the intent from Leicester. The wing-backs are pressing quite high, so Ashley Neville was quite high then, so...
Free kick taken by Corrales and flicked on by Marsetto, but no damage done. Clark comes and collects.
It seems slightly higher on the starting setup for Leicester with this shape, giving them an opportunity to press a little bit higher than what they have been doing in the games prior to the international break.
They have had the opportunity. I know both have been missing players whilst away with their countries, but just to reflect really and review what's gone on so far and get ready for this hugely important final push in the season, particularly for Leicester City, given what's at stake for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the starting lineup, they've made some changes in the starting lineup, and the majority of those players are the ones that have actually not been on international camp, which might have been part of Rick Passmore's reasoning, that he's had that big chunk of time to work with this particular group, which I can understand completely. You know, if he's trying to change the shape, and he's had that opportunity to do that with this group of players. And then when you look at the bench, there's definitely players that can change the game for Leicester City as well. So there's positive opportunities for them. Where London City are concerned, they've had a lot away, but they've still put them in the starting 11, and breaking away there.
Looking to advance, but didn't get too far. Leicester had plenty back. Passmore, somebody, of course, that you know very well, Rianne, your former assistant at West Ham.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been working diligently over the course of the season with the resource that he has at Leicester, and I think we all are aware of the challenges the club faces overall at the moment. We've seen what's happened with the men's team and everything, and so, you know, with the resource that he has in the league, I think it was always going to be a bit of a challenge this season. But he's very diligent in the way that he works with players, and obviously he's getting staff and players to focus, as he said in his interview at the start there, is to make sure that they're trying to think about, you know, that controlling their own narrative really, despite what people have said about them over the course of the season. They're still in a position to fight for a spot at the moment, and if that doesn't happen, playoffs, obviously they'll be diligent and prepared to play Barclays WSL 2 team, whichever ends up in that third position.
Clark clears that one away, having got away with one a little bit. Clearance charged down by Izzy Goodwin, but no damage done. Olivia Clark returning to the team today with Janina Leitzig out through injury. Clark herself has been unavailable recently with a problem actually picked up training with Wales during the previous international break. She wasn't available for a country this month because of that, but is back in timely fashion for Leicester today. Two nervy early moments maybe here, and I guess that's to be expected in the circumstances.
Yeah, I think both teams are a little bit scrappy on the ball at the moment, aren't they? But there's examples of that yesterday in the Man City-Brighton game at the start as well. I think that's just after having that little period of time where you've not played. And if we think about it, you know, as a club team, it's been near enough a month for these teams to have not played, unless you're in the FA Cup just before the international break. So it's a challenging time to get back into the flow of that under pressure in a competitive game, which might be part of the reason for some of the loose passes at the moment.
And now, of course, after that long gap, the games come quickly. Leicester City back in action at Arsenal in midweek. They have to host Chelsea as well. Under some pressure here. Back it goes again to Clark once more, with Goodwin applying that pressure. By Nikita Paris. Cascarino's going to get there. Just taken away from her by Ash Neville. Now, Arsenal, Chelsea and Everton, the run-in for Leicester City after this. And given that they are already 4 points adrift of West Ham, This really is must-win, isn't it, today, at this stage of the season?
Absolutely. The games for the remaining 3 games after this, as you've said, are tough games. And whilst we expect this to be a battle, this is, given the form of London City, this has to be a fantastic chance, really, for Leicester to try and pick up some points. And obviously for London City, as you highlighted at the start, first season, potential to finish top half of the table would be an unbelievable result, really, given the sequence of how that's evolved over recent years in the WSL. Very few teams have managed to stay in the league, let alone finish in the top half of the table.
Well, they came up as champions last season. They've won 6 games already in this division. That is twice as many as the promoted teams won between them over the last 2 years combined. I know you're not necessarily combining like for like, given the finances involved and the ambition that London City Lionesses have arrived in this division with, but it is still their first ever season at this elevated level. This would constitute success, surely, but they'll want to push on, of course, and you would expect more big names, more money spent this coming summer, because they won't settle for this long term, will they?
No, but I think it just highlights the difference between the 2 divisions, really, and what it takes and what you have to do to be able to survive this league with the money that they've spent.
It's a really strong surge from Cascarino there. The shot blocked as she managed to get it away. Still potentially the danger. Marsetto on that far side. Fernandez forward as well. Has to have had time to regroup and get plenty back behind the ball. Cardinal. Cascarino is seeing plenty of it early on.
Yeah, given there's not been a huge amount of action either way, I think when you see Delphine Cascarino on the ball, and obviously you'll see in this replay here, she's just so positive driving with the ball. She's committing players. Technically, that's a foul. She keeps going. And obviously, she's looking for an opportunity there to create something. And she's definitely done, you know, a couple of bits so far that have showed the quality that she has and how important she'll be for this London City team in these remaining games.
To turn their attention to the other end, but that's comfortable for Letta, unchallenged in gathering up that one. Neville stepping in again. Comes the way of Izzy Goodwin with back to goal. Scorer for the England under-23 side, as they lifted silverware actually in the international break in the European Championship friendly tournament in Spain.
Yeah, did very well. England under-23s did very well over the course of this campaign. Obviously, it's not an official Euros, but it's, you know, the better quality opposition is exactly what our young players in England need to be faced with on a regular basis. So it's great that they get the opportunity to do that in a more competitive setting every window. It helps them to be ready for this standard of football as well.
Yeah, Goodwin in particular impressing, as Cascarino is here early on, and already that battle between her and Ash Neville is developing into a key contest.
Yeah, I think Ash is trying to press a little bit higher based on the system, so Swaby's picking up a lot of the work with that, but when they're set and deeper in their shape, Leicester, it'll definitely be that battle to try and keep them out into wide areas, something that Ash Neville's been, you know, a strong competitor in this league for a long time now, and I've worked with her at Tottenham. She's fantastic for us at Tottenham, and I think she just has that senior leadership experience as well, which helps on the pitch. So she's no stranger to the types of players that, such as Delphine Cascarino.
It's that sort of experience that Rick Passmore was keen to recruit in January, wasn't it? Because they lost a lot of it last summer. Big part of the challenge of trying to keep this team in this division. Ashley Neville making the move after 8.5 years at Spurs. Ready, she said, for a new challenge. Finished on the losing side in every game so far, though, in Leicester City colours. That is the extent of that challenge that she's taken on right now. Change of mentality maybe is needed. Rick Passmore has never questioned the work rate of his side. It's just the decision-making, really, at the major moments that have cost them recently.
But if even in the structure of this setup here, they just look much more disciplined and organised, and actually they're pressing a little bit higher. They've just got caught out through those central areas. Just the timing of the jump is so important if you're going to do that high press.
That's an important intervention from Sarah Mailing, just stepping in when Nikita Paris was well positioned, but they made a bit of a meal of it, of getting it away. They haven't got it away, and this is Paris, and it's just taken away from her in time. A little bit edgy at the back, though, from Leicester City again.
Yeah, I think these are the moments that have let them down over the course of the season. It's just little bits like the clearances just aren't giving them enough of an opportunity to reset in and around the box. You know, if you're going to have to do it where it's a bit 50-50, it really needs to clear the lines to try and give yourself an opportunity to reset.
It was Mailing who eventually got herself in the way to concede only this corner, but London City have brought plenty forward for it. It was a poor delivery. In the presence of those that had ventured up from the back, rendered academic by that.
Yeah, it's poor in terms of the delivery. You know, you'd expect more from the quality of Cascarino there to be able to at least put Leicester in a position to have to defend.
Yeah, uncharacteristic, wasn't it, from Cascarino? The home fans looking for a return to winning ways. They drew their last home game, that 1-1 draw against Chelsea at the Den. They had lost the previous 4 here, and it has cost them. Not necessarily too much in terms of league position, but in terms of going any higher. And again, you see here, though, London City Lionesses pressing high. They sense their chance, don't they, in those sort of positions? They sense how uncomfortable Leicester are looking.
Well, I'm surprised Leicester are playing out, to be honest, because in the league, London City are the 4th highest pressing team in the league. They limit everybody to, in terms of what's called their passes per defensive action, they're the 4th highest. And so in this context, when you know that it's not necessarily something that's your strength, it'd make more sense to bypass as they are now to try and limit their opportunity to turn the ball over in those areas.
To try and create something themselves at the other end. Here is Rachel Williams. Kumagai with her. Williams looking for some support. Back at the club 16 years after her first spell with them.
Yep, I was the first person to sign Rachel
Is that right?
At Leicester City. Yeah, she was 14. Came into our centre of what was a centre of excellence programme then, which is essentially the version of what the academies are now. So we go back a long way.
Returned recently after those 4 years at Manchester United to the side where it all started for it. Back in the starting lineup today. And still at the age now of 38, potentially a really important player in this run-in.
Yeah, the fact that I actually played in the same team as her tells you my age as well, unfortunately. But yeah, in terms of her experience and just the way that she goes about the game, she's still such a difficult player to play against and has had so much vast experience over the years. And as you say, still playing at 38 because physically she works really hard to look after herself. It's tough to still be an outfield player. You don't see too many players beyond that age playing for this at this level of the game.
Danger here. This is Cascarino slipping into space and squaring it, and all the way across goal it goes. We're talking the merest of margins. Clark appeared convinced that she wasn't going to be required after Goodwin had met it. Cascarino doing all the hard work, really.
Again, just not clearing the ball enough and being ruthless enough in 1v1s there. You know, obviously Izzy Goodwin's made a good run across the front there to make contact with this ball, but actually Lucia Corrales is just on the penalty spot, completely unmarked. So obviously Goodwin's done her job at making the centre-halves drop off, and it just left that little bit of space which really could have punished Leicester in that situation.
Goodwin was close, but not quite close enough. A joint 4-goal top scorer in this division this season. Another of them, of course, Freya Godfrey, fit only for the bench, having been unable to take her place in the England squad with the shoulder injury suffered in the last game, the 1-1 draw at West Ham. The last 4 matches, actually, in all competitions prior to today, have been London derbies for the Lionesses. Drew the last 2 of those. Went out of the FA Cup on penalties to Spurs. Beaten 2-0 at home by Arsenal as well. And here comes the long throw. Delivered directly into the danger area, but plenty back to deal with it.
It's a fantastic challenge by Ashley Neville to stop Cascarino from breaking away, and it's led to this turnover that's just giving Leicester a little bit more possession than we've seen in recent games, actually, in the opposition half.
Got plenty in advanced areas here. And it goes from Thibault. Oh, and that was the chance. It just ran away from Tierney, who'd put herself appeared in the perfect position.
She's just at this a fantastic spot from Thibault. I think she can hit this first time and just help it on. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but she's completely unmarked, running through the two centre halves with nobody anywhere near her. But if you look at the numbers that were in advance there for Leicester, there's been times when we've watched them of recent games and there's one player in advance of the ball, and so clearly, you know, at the moment the structure that Leicester have set up with is allowing them to have more bodies in higher positions, and you really want to see Rachel Williams getting into those areas as well, because as we said, she's a goal scorer, she's good aerially, and that will create chances for Leicester.
London City at the other end, having survived that scare. Was for Tierney, who has just the one goal so far this season, which came in defeat at home to Spurs back in September, when we took over the captain's armband in January after the departure of Janice Cayman. But London City Lionesses responding.
Their most promising attacks so far have come down that right-hand side, London City. They've been trying to catch out. If the wing-back, Ashley Neville, in this instance, is a little bit high, they've found those passes down the outside, and Cascarino's been heavily involved.
Morales with the corner, looking to whip it in. It was an awkward one. And the danger hasn't entirely been dealt with yet. Cascarino once more, and now Kumagai. There's Fernandez, everything in front of her. Cascarino asking the questions with the cross. They're back in her direction again. Battling for that with Neville, keeping it in, finding Kumagai to try and keep the pressure on here. The London City skipper. Delphine Cascarino, it's a rather more prolonged period of pressure now from the home side. But there was nothing at the end of it for them. That's a Leicester City free kick.
I think all in all, in that position, compactness between units from Leicester is quite good. It was making it difficult for them to find any clear passes in between or behind London City there, so it forced that pass backwards a little bit, which was obviously just enough for them to affect the ball and get a foul to give them a little bit of breathing space. Try and get on the ball again and obviously make life difficult for London City. Have a little bit of possession, which has probably been higher than maybe teams would have expected them to have so far, but it'll be the conversion of it that helps them or not, Leicester City.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it, as we reach the midway point of this first half. Similarity so far to their last game against Brighton, which they ended up losing by a goal to nil. Failed to have a single shot on target in that game. They've yet to manage a shot today. The two that we have seen have both come from the home side, both off target early on. Leicester, of course, with just those 9 goals scored all season through their first 18 matches prior to today. The lowest scorers in the division by a significant margin.
Yeah, and I think across those 9 goals, I think there's been 5 different goal scorers, which sort of highlights that they've not got a clear forward that's actually helping them to get more goals out of the game. And as I said, I think there's been a lot of occasions where they've just not had the numbers in advance to be able to create threatening opportunities.
Yeah, Shannon O'Brien is their top scorer this season. She has just the 3 in the BWSL, 4 in all competitions. They've averaged only 2.2 shots on target per game actually all season. It's the 3rd lowest ever average in this league. And the travelling fans, I guess, don't travel in too much hope and expectation these days, given the wretched run in particular that they are on away from home. 24 matches now without an away win for Leicester City is the longest such run in the history of this league. Drawn 7, lost 17 of those. Dates back to January of 2024 when they won at Everton.
Yeah, it's been a difficult period, I think, for Leicester overall. And a lot of that, you know, essentially it does come down to resource and investment and players. And, you know, Ruby Mace was sort of obviously moved on from the club, and there's money that's coming into the club, and how is that then being reinvested back into those players? And as we said earlier, we know the men's team situation is difficult, and that's part of the problem still in the women's game, is the investment's often reliant upon how effective the men's team are being, which is something that the game still massively needs to get away from.
Yeah, the women's side now in their 5th successive season in the top flight, but have never finished higher than 10th in the table. The 20 points they picked up last season, actually a club record, and finishing in 10th spot. There is Cardinal.
I think you can see the pressing triggers are really clear for Leicester City as well, and they're looking to set traps when the ball goes into wide areas and jumping out with wing backs, which is then putting wing backs in higher positions on turnovers. So the positivity and the intent from the pressing setup, and obviously then their ability to transition, is definitely a shift from what they've been doing since sort of January time. It's just whether or not they can, obviously with not having loads of chances, loads of goals, you're always going to question then a little bit of the confidence in front of goal, because there's not been that many opportunities. So it's whether they can turn them around, like the Sam Tierney one just not long ago, if they can actually turn those around when they do find themselves in those positions.
Yeah, that's the difficulty really, isn't it? Because it's not as if they've been missing a whole host of chances, they just haven't been creating those chances, which I guess is more of a deeper lying concern, really. And why Rick Passmore is approaching this final stage of the season as a 4-game mini-season, really. From here, he likened it, didn't he, to a group stage at a World Cup tournament. The odds stacked against this side.
Yeah, I think that's you have to kind of break it up into those little sections to make things manageable, and obviously focus on the next game's the most important game, and obviously that's what this is. This is the key one right now. They won't be worrying about Arsenal, you know, midweek. They'll be just focusing on trying to get something out of this.
To do defensively again, just at the moment. Does eventually come for Clark. He missed the last 3 matches, returning to the team today, the Welsh international. Remarkable career that she's had. From working in a fast food restaurant to playing at the European Championship last summer.
I think when you look through some of the stories of the players that have obviously been in the game a long time whilst it's been evolving and turning pro, especially the older players in the league, there's so many variations in their jobs and careers, because it's not been professional for very long, really, in the whole scheme of things.
Fernandez here on the charge. Comes back in her direction again and goes down, and Sophie Dennington, the referee, very quickly makes her interpretation of that clear. Content to let it continue.
Again, that right-hand side for London City, Jana Fernandez, Cascarino, they're just trying to cause problems, and Jana Fernandez is really effective. Dribbles, running with the ball. She's got really high stats in that regard for the club. As well as being heavily involved in tackles, interceptions, she's a tenacious fullback that likes to get forward, and it's not a foul, it's just...
I was going to say anything in that didn't really look that way, did it? McLaughlin, I think it was, who stepped in. Fernandez, who scored her first goal for London City in the last game to put them in front at West Ham. And the players brought in, of course, from Barcelona, underlining their intent ahead of this season. Took advantage, didn't they, of the fact that Barcelona's budget was significantly reduced in the summer, so a lot of players who didn't necessarily want to leave them had to leave them, and 3 of them actually ended up at London City last summer. Maria Perez on the bench today. Corrales coming in as well. He did feature for Spain against England in that qualifying game the other week. Now there's a slip, and it opens up for the opportunity, and in. Brilliantly taken by Shannon O'Brien. Well, London City will be so frustrated at the nature of the way the ball ended up at the feet of O'Brien. They will certainly feel that they should have stopped it getting that far. But O'Brien has done the rest, and Leicester City here in a must-win match for them to lead at London City.
Yeah, you know, it's come from the pressing structure for Leicester. You can see, we've been talking about it for the first 30 minutes. They're trying to lock the ball in on one side. Tierney's following Alana Kennedy. Shannon O'Brien gets across. Sarah Malin started central and then pressed that ball back inside. And obviously, all it takes is a mistake. And I think she's done really well to actually get that in the goal, because when it first came across, I thought maybe she could have took it on her left foot earlier. But obviously Cardinal come flying in, doesn't stay on her feet there, maybe a little bit of inexperience at that point, which has then affected Alana Kennedy, and it's just given O'Brien the opportunity to poke that shot into the corner there. But fantastic goal for Leicester City, and it just shows, you know, they're just a little bit more positive, a little bit higher, and when there's a mistake, you've got to be able to capitalise on them, and so that's obviously put them in a positive position in this first half, when they've only scored 2 goals in the first half for the whole rest of the league season. So it's a good start.
Half an hour in, Leicester lead, and it's their top scorer, Shannon O'Brien, with her first goal, by the way, since she scored the only goal in the win against London City in the middle of December. They've gone 7 without one prior to this afternoon. It could be such a significant one.
Yeah, I think it's important they keep doing what they were doing, Leicester, actually, and not get caught up in this now, win this attack.
They have to remain switched on here, but it has looped up and in, and the lead did not last long at all. It is 1-1. That is incredible. Corrales claiming all of the credit. Looked like she was attempting the cross there, but it's dropped over Clark and in, and we're all square again.
It's such a vulnerable time when you score, and literally we're just saying they just have to keep doing what they were doing, Leicester, and stay switched on, and then all of a sudden it's staying on your feet. They're so important in midfield to stay with Nikita Parris, and it forces Sarah Malin to stay narrow because Nikita Parris is unmarked, so she can't get out to that player in that wide area to stop Corrales, to stop her in that 1v1. And whether that's a cross shot, you know, ultimately it's just floated it into that far corner. It's a great finish, really, but so disappointing for Leicester City, given the position that they'd got themselves in, but too short-lived.
Leicester City haven't scored more than once in a game all season. One was enough the last time they met the Lionesses, but one will not be enough today. And it came so swiftly after the restart that any benefit really from going in front has been lost straight away. 1 minute and 49 seconds between Leicester City scoring and London City levelling it. And this is a test of character now for the Foxes from here, having seen that lead lost so swiftly. Said it was likely to be such a significant goal, but so swift was the concession of the equaliser that not so, and well, they're back to square one. I feel there's some misfortune over the manner of the concession, I guess, but it's how they deal with that disappointment now that's important.
Well, I think it's just being able to stay in the combat, really, in your battles, because I think it was Emma Janssens there that just tried to, which she got the wrong side of Nikita Parris and tries to sort of foul her a little bit to slow her down, but you just have to stay in that battle, because if you stay in that battle, your defenders are less likely to come out of their positions, and so they can deal with their own players, which obviously then put them under a little bit of pressure, really, and it stops Sarah Malin, as we say, from being close enough to get in a 1v1 against Corrales.
London City looking to complete the turnaround, and they're prepared to take it on from anywhere right now. Understandable to a certain extent in the circumstances. That one just looping up onto the roof of the net from range. But what a lift for London City to get themselves back level so soon, and they are in the mood for more from here. Clark was a little off their line, but no more than that. And the 4th time this season that Leicester had scored the first goal in a game. They'd won 2 of the previous 3, their only 2 wins of the season so far, including against today's opponents, but they're on the back foot already. Decision there going against Emma Janssen.
Yeah, she's just she's doing what she was trying to do with Nikita Paris just a few seconds ago. It's just to slow down that midfield a little bit.
He's trying to flick that one on. And a goal for Corrales, by the way. First in the BWSL. First for the club in appearance number 19 in all competitions for London City Lionesses. Those couple of assists that she got for Spain against Ukraine during the international break. It may well have been another attempted assist today that's ended up in the net.
Yeah, I just need to probably watch it again and see where she's looking to see if it was a cross or a shot.
There's Kumagai here. Yeah, I might be doing her a disservice, but from the position that she was in, it would have been unlikely to take the shot on. That's Williams colliding with Kumagai, just finding herself the wrong side. It's something that Rick Passmore was talking about before the game, and indeed before recent games, how his Leicester side just maybe need a little bit of luck, the ball to go in somehow, but it's actually worked against him, and then on that occasion they're being pinned back once more. Cascarino and Paris were pressing. Fernandez trying to get involved as well.
I think they're finding their outlets, Leicester, you know, moving the ball from side to side to try and switch play. I think the thing that is obviously a little bit of a challenge is if you look how deep Rachel Williams is now as the number 9. It requires, if they play forward quickly, there's going to be limited options. You can see Sam Tierney, Rachel Williams. You really need your number 9 to stay high and let the midfielders do that sort of work, to come off the front and set play, because obviously if you're trying to play into wing backs, you want crosses in the box, and as we said before, as a number 9 and as a good aerially dominant player, she would be really crucial for those sorts of positions if they're going to try and get more goals out of the game.
Fascinatingly poised right now, so they traded goals so quickly. Since then it is London City Lionesses threatening more frequently. Seto's taking up some advanced areas, one of the newer arrivals brought in at the end of the winter window from Madrid.
Yes, she's played a lot of games since then, hasn't she, for them? You can see she's a willing runner there. It's a great run in between the two centre-halves. I think Swaby recovers brilliantly there to make that block. But obviously it's about trying to narrow up those gaps so that the back line doesn't get played through quite so easily.
Corrales, having seen one drop in already, will take the corner kick this time, and that very nearly dropped in as well at the far post. Kumagai then just unable to keep the danger alive. It didn't look far away, that one.
No, I wasn't. I thought Ashley Neville actually got a touch on that at the back post. I thought she headed that. Oh no, it's Olivia Clark actually got a hand to it, but I think both had it covered, but dangerous ball there to the back post.
Corrales stepping up to the centre of the story. Mentioned it's her first goal for London City. She never actually scored one at senior level for Barcelona. She did get 10 for their reserve team, and she did score for Spain in March, didn't she, against Ukraine as well.
It's a good time of year for her to be starting to score for London City, right?
So important in the context of this contest and the timing of it. Gioro, who's down here for London City, missed the last match through injury actually, but was able to take her place in the France squad on international duty. Player who won her 100th cap for her country at the last European Championship. Another of their statement signings after promotion. Pretty innocuous there, the manner in which she went down, but she's up again. Heading for the final 5 of the first half here. And although there's a certain sense of disappointment for Leicester after losing that lead so quickly, they can't let it detract from the bigger picture of the afternoon, because they're still in a useful position in the game, aren't they, if they can collect their thoughts and go again.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's happened a couple of times when London City have been successful is Leicester have started the press, but the back line, so the 3 centre-halves have dropped off a little bit deeper at the same time as the forwards have gone in advance and the wing-backs have tried to jump. So I'm sure Rick Passmore will be trying to say the compactness has to stay in order to be competitive. And if they can do that, they've shown they can turn the ball over in high areas and got a goal out of it early on, and they're jumping again now. You can see the speed of that, and they're going to force an error again here through getting that right when they're all committed to the press, which is good play. It's made London City's job really difficult.
They won it back well. Now can they make something of it? The visitors here. Thibaut again. McLaughlin was in there. She's hurt. Thibaut coming away with it briefly. Olivia McLaughlin has stayed down as it goes back to Letta.
I mean, I'm not sure why that's not been pulled up for a foul, because it wasn't waved as an advantage to play on. And the foul wasn't given against Gioro earlier either, but it was pulled back and then it was given as a foul after she'd sat on the floor. So it's just some of the consistencies within it are really important for this type of flow of a game as well.
Let's have it again here with Julie Thibaut, making her 5th straight start, the French centre-back. Back to Clark. Goodwin in the vicinity. There is Swaby. Kumagai with time. And the Asian Cup success, of course, a little earlier in the year. Playing now in the 17th year of her professional career.
It's phenomenal, isn't it, really, when you think about that as well. And obviously her amount of time she's played for Japan as well, and the caps that she has for her country. She's been such an important player for them. So much experience, and we've seen her play as defensive midfielder as well as a centre-half, and just really important with that type of experience in your team.
She played another 3 games for Japan, actually, against the USA in the most recent international break this month, didn't she, in friendly games off the back of that Asian Cup success. Here's Goodwin. Looked like she got away. She will now get the free kick. Lizzie Goodwin. Useful position here.
I think Thibaut was fouled first, actually, but
I think she would agree with you. So offer London City Lionesses the opportunity here to get this into the danger area again. We've seen what Corrales can do from this part of the pitch already, in conversation there with Cascarino. Plenty committed forward, of course, at this juncture.
Really important to defend this well. You don't want to concede at this time of the game.
So in it goes, and a real scramble, and then thumped in. And they have turned this one around before half-time of London City. And it's Izzy Goodwin in the perfect place to apply the finishing touch. Well, there's been some response from the home side, and it does look like they're going to take the lead into half-time here, a 5th of the season for Goodwin.
Yeah, when we're looking at the angle of it in particular, it's a good angle for a free kick delivery. It's a difficult one for the keeper. So obviously the area that she puts that in, so good from Cascarino, and obviously fantastic reactions. I think there's an area here, I think potentially with, Leicester City could clear that earlier. Unmarked runs coming through, just too many gaps in the setup for the line there as they're dropping London City. They've ran straight in between. Ash Neville gets the first touch on a drop down, but when it hits you like that, it's quite difficult to just get that ball away. Obviously fantastic from Isabel Goodwin there to get another goal.
Yeah, fine couple of weeks she had. Mentioned the goals that she got for England's under-23s against the Netherlands and Sweden earlier in the month to win that particular competition. And now Now scores a fifth of the season in the Barclays Women's Super League. Was on target in their last home game as well, the 1-1 draw against Chelsea.
A minimum of 2 additional minutes.
So they are 2 minutes of added time away from taking this lead into the second half. And Leicester City under real pressure now. What a response though from Maestre's team. Given the recent run that they've been on, 5 without a win, the second longest winless sequence actually in their league history. Having gone behind at the stage of the game that they did half an hour in, he may well have been fearing the worst, but real character shown by his side, and now something similar is going to be demanded by Rick Passmore of Leicester City. A must-win game is one that they now currently trail, having briefly led. Swaby with the throw. Will come through for Shannon O'Brien, just running out of room a little bit, but a corner kick to come.
I think there's an opportunity here on set plays for Leicester City. They've not scored many goals from set plays, but London City have conceded from 10 set plays. So that's obviously something that you'd be thinking about.
It's in low, but it's gone straight out of play. Well, to say they didn't make the most of that is something of an understatement.
Yeah, again, it's like Cascarino's, you know, you expect better in that situation. You've worked hard to create an attacking opportunity of some quality. You know, it's got to go into a dangerous area. The deliveries on set plays are so important if you want to threaten an opposition and keep the pressure on them.
And as you highlighted, there has been a vulnerability at the back in those set-piece situations from London City this season, but one that Leicester were able to capitalise on with that ball in. And it may well have been their last notable chance of this first half, which is almost at its conclusion.
Yeah, across the board, they've conceded quite a lot of penalties as well, London City, from box entries, and that's something that, you know, as a Leicester City team, you've got to know and be looking to threaten as much as possible.
Given to them by Shannon O'Brien. So London City Lionesses get this second half underway. A real show of character from Ada Maestre's team in the way that they turned it around in the latter stages of that first half. Rhian Skinner, and it now needs something similar from Leicester City. They're going to really have to dig deep, and they will need to do what they haven't managed all season, and that is score more than once in a BWSL game.
I think that's the biggest part of the challenge, isn't it, really? Because actually, in terms of structure, I think credit to Rick Passmore. They look more organised, they look more threatening, they look more competitive. They've just turned the ball over in a press again straight away in this second half, and it's really what they're capable of doing from an attacking sense when they regain possession that's going to be the difference, really, in the games, you know. And obviously creating opportunities to get in the box, it has not been something that they've done particularly well. But here again, a turnover, positive play, just bodies running in advance, you know, needs to happen a little bit more urgently, and hopefully they get a bit more confidence to make this even more competitive, this game.
Yeah, there have been some encouraging signs for them, as there have been in the opening exchanges of this second half here. They're the ones asking all the questions at the moment. Tierney didn't get the answer she wanted from the referee when going down. There was no free kick. Instead, Cascarino trying to lead the counter-attack. Important intervention from Sarah Mailing on halfway to prevent Nikita Paris getting any further. And Leicester do have the ball back. That'll be the frustration, really, I guess, for Rick Passmore, in that his team did do a lot right in that first half, and yet still they trail.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is, you know, you're looking for performance outcomes, and you're looking for positive like ability from the players to take on board what you know, they've obviously worked on that in this break, because it is a different shape and structure. And then for the players, you know, when you don't get all the rewards from that, it can be a little bit deflating, but actually you've got to pick out those important performance points that they did well and just encourage that to continue, essentially.
I guess it gets harder and harder to do that. The longer this losing run goes on, there'll be a feeling maybe of here we go again that they have to try and deal with and dispel. As London City through Cascarino. Look to find a way through here. Cascarino, it almost opened up for the shot. There were enough back in the way, but it's out as far as Yana Fernandez. And they're blocked behind. London City's first threat of the second half.
Yeah, I mean, on the ball, she's a superb player, Cascarino. She's causing so many problems when she's running at players and dribbling. Just her agility is great. She fakes the way that she's going, creates a little bit of half a yard for herself to try and find a shot, a pass. And Leicester are finding it difficult to compete with her in 1v1 situations, especially when she's coming into those central areas.
I mean, it underlines her signing, doesn't it, that this is no ordinary promoted side. Highlighting the ambition of London City Lionesses that they can attract a player of the calibre of Cascarino. 21 major trophies to her name down the years.
Yeah, I think it's just definitely a statement of intent. And as we said before, you know, teams have come up into this league and gone straight back down again. And, you know, you do have to invest in the playing squad to be able to cope. It's just a really difficult league, the best in the world. And obviously London City have been prepared to do that, to be able to make sure that they do compete in the league and stay in the league. And not only that, have been obviously competitive, as we discussed earlier, based on where they are in the league table.
Cascarino was the target actually for the corner kick when it was played in by Corrales. And in the middle of all of that, Kumagai found herself going down and getting the decision. Leicester City have the ball back. Olivia Clark clears it away. And big losses announced recently by London City because of the amount that has been spent on the playing squad to back up the belief that they can compete for the biggest honours. Ambition under Michelle Kang knowing no bounds, really. And there is the coach brought in halfway through this season to oversee this squad. And there is a significant Spanish feeling to it, isn't there? Under Eda Maestrein. A number of the players brought in from Spain, from Barcelona in particular.
Yeah, when we were talking about earlier on that they are our fourth highest pressing team in the league, that's been since he's taken over. And so, you know, that's obviously been a key part of the expectation that he's brought to the team, to be more aggressive in those higher parts of the pitch. And I think that's obviously leading to opportunities for them as well.
Yeah, the coaching change was made actually after the defeat against Leicester in December at the halfway stage. Russell and Prashaw, who led them to promotion last season, replaced by Maestrein. Unlikely to settle for anything else eventually other than major honours. Here's Cascarino, wrapping her boot around the ball to provide the cross. Paris underneath it, and then Fernandez. She did get her boot underneath the ball and just off target, but having got her first goal for the club in the last game, is in pursuit of more. First league goal for the club in the last game.
Yeah, initially the ball, you know, Cardinal's starting her first game for the club at London City, and when you look at the passing capability she had, it's certainly something she was well known for when she was at Ajax, and she's confident on the ball, and she's just played that ball out to Cascarino to obviously get her into the box for that cross to come into the box, and Fernandez's shot there that followed. But I think if you look at how comfortable she is on the ball, it's clear that she fits into the style of play that London City are trying to achieve. She's a centre-half that has played as a fullback, that can get forward as well. So, you know you've got someone who is more than competent on the ball despite her age and experience so far in this league.
Yeah, it does look a really good fit. Somebody who made her Eredivisie senior debut for Ajax at the age of 16. Went on to play over 50 games for them. She was a title winner with them 3 years ago, their Player of the Year last season. So it was the right step in her career at the right time, after she'd fulfilled her dream in Amsterdam. Had a couple of years left on her contract there. Grace Gioro waiting to take the free kick in combination with Fernandez. He's able to advance a little further forward from full-back. That was a testing ball in from Seto. Nearly came for Gioro. It might still. And the door was shut just in time by Sari Keese in the end.
Yeah, it's really threatening play from London City. I think as that ball comes in from Marsetto, it's just an area you can't head the ball into the central edge of the box. You know, it's got to go beyond and to the side to try and take away the possibility of that type of threat for Gioro, and it leads to a corner. And obviously those areas, if that goes out to the right-hand side behind Sarah Malin, it minimises the next part of the threat for the team there.
The Corrales corner here. It's a much deeper delivery this time. Not as far as Cardinal after Neville's clearing header. Cascarino. Yala Fernandez. Nikita Paris. Having a go. A spectacular attempt, as it turned out. It's just turned away from trouble. And Olivia Clark still may be the danger. This is Corrales, taken away from her. Leicester City survived that scare. As London City look to try and perhaps put it beyond them at this stage of the game.
Yes, a fantastic save, isn't it? You know, obviously the opportunity there, they've maintained possession from the corner, and you can see Ashley Neville telling Leicester players to get out, to get the pressure on, and they didn't really come up with a ball, and then it leads to that chance around the edge of the box. A really good attempt there from London City.
Wilson has gone here to the frustration of Izzy Goodwin. There is some activity down on the touchline as well. I think the first Leicester change is going to be imminent. The chance a moment ago was for Nikita Paris. By a really good stop from Clark.
Yeah, just great how she spun Nikita Paris, and obviously we know she's scored multiple goals as well for London City this season. I think she's on 4 at the moment.
That's level with Izzy Goodwin going into today. 5 for Paris in all competitions. Cascarino's cross. Paris was lurking beyond the far post there with intent. And the touch was a necessary one to concede the corner.
They're just allowing too much time on the ball here, Leicester City. You know, they've tried to play out there. They didn't quite deal with the last corner. They've just got caught in possession there that's led to another corner. They just need to get hold of what they want to try and do and keep the ball away from the goal at the moment, because you can see there's a little bit of a momentum shift going on at the minute. Sticking to the discipline and the decisions that they need to make to try and minimise the chances for London City.
It's a difficult stage of the game, this, isn't it, for Leicester? Cascarino's going to take the corner. Everybody back in pink in their own penalty area to defend that. Hoisted back in again. Big appeals, as it was turned in. That could be a major moment. The lead is extended 10 minutes into this second half. And the Leicester City players crestfallen really by that. Their task has just got an awful lot tougher. Immediately turned in the direction of the referee. Chantal Swaby going down has stayed down. That's a big moment.
I'm still trying to understand if the goal's actually been given, because if you look at the way that Leicester is setting up, they're in no rush to kind of obviously get the ball played forward. So it definitely, I mean, it looked like an offside. There's definitely one player offside.
London City away and celebrating. Swaby stayed down. Let's have another look and try and clear this up. So it came in from the corner originally.
Nikita Paris definitely offside.
Potential foul on the goalkeeper maybe, as well, as Clark came to try and collect here.
Yeah,
but it's the offside that's going to negate this. I think the goal will not stand.
Yeah, this is a better angle. You can see Gioro and Paris. Paris doesn't interfere though, but Gioro's definitely offside on the ball coming into the box.
So they survived that scare, to Leicester City, but there is still a potential problem for them in the way that Chantal Swaby has gone down. It affords Rick Passmore the chance to get everybody together and issue some further instruction at what has been, as we were just talking about, a really difficult stage of the game for them. Gives me a chance to mention as well and remind you that WSL Football launched their brand new app, offering fans of both the Barclays WSL and the Barclays WSL 2 a front row seat. Download the app for free. You can search WSL Football in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. So for a moment, London City Lionesses were away and celebrating. They thought they'd got their third goal, but from what we've seen, it was the correct call that it didn't stand. Now will Swaby be able to continue?
For Leicester City, coming off number 28, Rachel Williams.
Now going to make it a change anyway. And Rachel Williams hasn't really been able to get into the game, has she, on her return to the starting lineup?
Also coming off, number 31.
No, I think there's been a few times there where she's definitely affected the way that the team's pressed. She's helped the team to be more aggressive there for Leicester City. And obviously Alicia Lehmann's now replacing her, and I think what that'll do is just give some additional running legs in behind, and it looks like Mouchon is also on the pitch. We've not had that confirmed as yet.
Yeah, Mouchon on for Williams. There she is. And he started twice this season, but her 11th appearance off the bench. Those injury issues of last season, of course, and a tactical switch as well. Swaby can't continue, but an attacking player in Alicia Lehmann, her replacement, who was again called up, as she usually is, by the Swiss squad, but wasn't able to take her place because of a minor injury on international duty. But she is on. Only been back, I think, in full training this week. So Vic Passmore mixing it up a little bit. Entirely all of his own choosing, as Swaby makes her way off after that prolonged period of treatment. So a little bit of a reshuffle required after those changes. Threat potentially here. Morales trying to reach it, and did! And there's Marcetto to meet it from right in front of goal. And London City Lionesses do stretch further clear. They lead Leicester City by 3 goals to 1 now as we head for the hour mark. Looks like it is set to be a return to winning ways for London City today, to leave Leicester in all sorts of trouble at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, it's a difficult uphill struggle from this point. You can see the breakaway. Leicester were trying to get themselves reorganised from the changes to shape, and obviously Corrales has made that run into the box. Euro releases the pass perfectly timed, and then it's just Marcetto coming in there just behind the centre-back. So obviously there's been pressure out in that wide area, but there's just a gap on the penalty spot. She's completely unmarked there, and it's a simple finish really, but she's taken it very well to put them in a 3-1 position. And it's, you know, there's still 30 minutes left, but it's a tough uphill struggle here for Leicester.
And it's a big moment for the Dane. Her first goal in English football, having made that move at the end of the winter transfer window. 5 goals in 40 career appearances for Madrid. English under-23 international, scoring for the first time since December for her former club in a 5-2 win at Espanyol. Wasn't going to miss that opportunity. Now Fernandez, forward from fullback with the cross.
I think Leicester, in terms of the shape change as well, obviously Mouchon, Lehmann higher. They've dropped Janssen back into a centre-back position to replace where Swaby obviously picked up that injury.
There's Alicia Lehmann in a promising position. They do need something soon, really, to get themselves back within range to Leicester City. That's what Lehmann's been brought on to try and do.
I think that potentially it's not the right decision with the pass she's made, because Mouchon was free on her left-hand side, and if she'd have released it straight away, it'd have allowed her to carry on her run.
Again, they will ask questions of the referee. Again, they don't get the answer from Sophie Dennington that they were hoping for, but they have, albeit briefly there, won the ball back through Tierney. Netta comes and is grateful to be able to grab it in the end.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, this, because I thought she actually got clipped from behind there. It's a side-to-side challenge from Kumagai, so yeah, it would have been a difficult one to give, but obviously a little bit of intent there from Leicester City to get in the box, and obviously it's just they're going to need to commit bodies forward to try and create those chances now.
Yeah, Shannon O'Brien was always going to ask the question, but more may be in hope than expectation. Lehmann's presence out the pitch causing a few problems for London City. Elena Lete, the former Sociedad goalkeeper, is able to clear. Seto, scorer of their 3rd goal, back doing her defensive duties. Was won back well by Thibault, who had continued her foray forward, but Cardinal steps in. Maestro is readying a change of his own, we're hearing. And I think Delphine Cascarino's first start in this league will come to its conclusion shortly. Freya Godfrey set to replace her. Underlines the strength and depth that he has at his disposal, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, and obviously, you know, Freya Godfrey was in such good form before the break. I think that's only going to spell a further challenge for Leicester City to manage, to be honest. So positive and to get Freya Godfrey back into a position to affect the team.
It's Fernandez. Really dangerous ball in. Good goalkeeping this time from Olivia Clark. Goodwin was in the vicinity, hoping to profit once more, but Clark got there first.
Yeah, good recovery as well from Janssen to stay tight to her, to be able to make that as difficult as possible.
Here's O'Brien. Shannon O'Brien has support from McLaughlin. They have worked the crossing position well, and a couple to try and attack it at the far post as well, but it wasn't quite where they wanted it.
No, I mean, I think, it's, again, you know, they're trying to find the right opportunities. I think the combination play and the, you know, Sarah Malin overlapping's positive there. You know, the players in the box are a little bit frustrated by that. Actually, you know, you've got to commit to those moments and really throw yourself into those areas as well as get the balls in the box when you're in a position, the position that they're in.
So the change happens here. Cascarino's first BWSL start. It was a little early. Certainly won't be the last on the evidence of what we've seen, and Freya Godfrey comes on to replace her. Did pick up that injury in the last game against West Ham, which forced her to miss out on England duty. The former Arsenal player with 4 goals and 4 assists so far this season is on for just over the closing quarter of the contest. That is unlikely to offer Leicester City any real respite, despite the fact they'll be glad to see the back of Cascarino. Here is O'Brien. Back by Tierney. Mouchon. Able to provide the cross again. There's nobody quite advanced enough to take advantage of it. Ash Neville was actually the closest to getting on the end of that, and she has it here. Almost run out of room. And they're beginning rapidly to run out of games as well if they are to avoid this relegation playoff. This stays this way, and if West Ham were to win later against Liverpool, Ham's former club of course, then Leicester City could find themselves 7 points adrift, and they would have only 3 games left to play, and Arsenal and Chelsea are 2 of those.
Yeah, it's a difficult final run-in for Leicester at this point.
That's confirmation of how it stands right now. Leicester back in action in that game in hand on Wednesday at Arsenal. Liverpool 4 points above the Hammers before those 2 go head-to-head. There's Gioro. Godfrey only just on, is straight into the action, flashing that in towards Goodwin. Janssen put under a little bit of pressure by Nikita Paris. So it does look particularly likely, actually, that Leicester City could be back in South London come the end of the season, with Charlton and Crystal Palace potential opponents in that playoff game on the 23rd of May. Don't want to accept just yet that that's a game that they are likely to have to play, but it's looking increasingly likely.
Yeah, it's so tight in their BWSL 2. You know, it's 3 points between the top 3. And so Charlton, Birmingham, Crystal Palace currently sitting in 3rd, so they're on 38. You know, it's so close, and Charlton still have to play Birmingham City at the end of the season, you know, last game. So it's going to be a really, really tough test. It's the tightest it's been in that league to create the opportunity for that playoff this year. So it'll be, whoever plays them, if it is Leicester City, it's going to be a tough game, probably one of the closest matchups that we've seen between the 2 leagues over the years.
Be a fascinating fixture ahead of the expanded BWSL season next season. Flicked by Lehmann. Will try and chase it down. They got there first. will be a big lift for London City, though, if they can go on and see it through. They've drawn the last 2 games, having lost the 3 before that. Only once before, when they went 7 matches without a victory in the BWSL 2, November 23 to February 24. They've been on a longer winless streak in the league than the one which preceded this afternoon. Towards Freya Godfrey. He'll be determined to have her say. Had quite some season, hasn't she, to earn that first England senior call-up earlier in the year?
Yeah, really positive. I think, you know, she's just got the opportunity to play games, hasn't she? And I think that's led to her showing what her qualities are in terms of driving forward. She's direct, she's good at crossing, she's obviously been effective in terms of her goal-scoring capabilities, and I think just her general contributions, overall contributions, I should say, have just been really positive for London City.
With the possibility, of course, of so much more still to come from her. Joined for last season as a 19-year-old from Arsenal on loan, decided to make it permanent, hasn't really looked back. Is there anything in that? Looked fairly innocuous. Chase on here for Goodwin. Clark had just enough of a head start on her to get there first. The attempted clearance from Keese was charged down. Seto over there, not giving up on it yet.
I think she's done so much work, Marsetto, in this game. She's involved in everything that London City are creating, and it's not necessarily the final pass, but it's all the little interconnected passes. She's been really effective for the team, and that's what you want from a midfielder, is to keep getting on it, finding passes, keep possession, play forward when you can. I think she's been a really good signing for London City.
You can see why she's slotted into the side, starting a 4th consecutive game today, the Dane. She's been everywhere. Godfrey again to try and put the pressure on, and there was just about, and only just about, enough on the back pass for Clark to be able to come and clear. Godfrey sensing her opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. You know, these types of back passes are always so difficult for keepers, but that's why you've got to keep the compactness between your units, because even in those situations when you're attacking, you've got to make sure that the goalkeeper's connected to be able to help you with those types of passes.
Number 17, Nikita Paris.
And a couple of changes then being made by Maestra here
By number 3,
for
Pattinson.
London City. Nikita Paris making way, her part is played.
Also coming off for London City Lionesses, number
Poppy
30,
Pattinson.
Marsetto.
We've just been mentioning her, but it looks like Marsetto has put such a shift in that she will be given the last 20 minutes off as well. She is the other player being replaced here in that double change at this stage of the game. Just freshening things up a little bit. Maria Perez coming on. Another player of proven pedigree. It's only her 2nd appearance actually in the last 5 games off the bench.
Yeah, I think Poppy Pattinson coming in gives that still, you know, the balance of that left footer, at left back position. Corrales has gone up higher to replace where Nikita Paris was playing. So still, you know, we know she's an attacking player. Still that threat down that left-hand side, and Perez straight into midfield as a straight swap for Marsetto.
We do have enough cover here, and the referee is going to intervene anyway. But yeah, Poppy Pattinson, another who actually missed the start of the season, didn't she, through injury, but has gone on to win her first senior England call-up at the age of 25 this year as well. Has been a regular starter. In fact, before today, she'd started the last 7 games in succession, so no surprise to see her for the conclusion.
Yeah, she's a player that's gone through every age group, England youth teams as well, and obviously, you know, England seniors are looking for options for full-back position moving forward. Those players in that position, Anouk Denton's another one, need to start gaining caps at senior level to be able to be ready to obviously add depth and value to the England Lionesses squad.
Testing ball in from the free kick here, but it's fairly comfortably cleared. Pattinson making her debut against Ukraine in March. I'd begun to wonder, she admitted, whether it might come, that senior court. There is Corrales, who has been pushed further forward after the change. Corrales says that to deflect just behind it, did take a touch on the way. She has been impressive again throughout, though, Lucia Corrales.
Yeah, I think, you know, she's obviously thinking about, she's just so positive. She thinks about getting into key crossing areas, and we've seen her crossing ability. And I think that just creates opportunities where Goodwin can think about threatening the box and getting between centre-backs, because she knows the cross will come in. Obviously, Freya Godfrey now coming in from the other side. You just, when you know you've got players that want to cross, it just makes you a bit more committed to getting in between and across players.
Possibilities here, but again, the delivery wasn't where it needed to be. It's a little fortunate to maybe get another go. Gioro over there. Pattinson will take the throw instead. With Brighton, of course, at the end of last season. It's on by Goodwin, it's claimed comfortably by Clark. Leicester City need to show more if they are improbably really from here to get back in this game.
Yeah, I think the forward passing threat has just started to disappear. Shannon O'Brien's trying to be a little bit higher when Leicester City are in possession, but...
There's Fernandez. Sends that one over the top when there were other options. Frustrating one for Yana Fernandez.
Alana Kennedy is the defensive midfielder, so that sitting in that sort of sixth position is just picking up all the bits without any real competition in there from Leicester City at the moment. So they have to think about how they're going to support that forward passing play to stop midfield from London City from just getting those opportunities to then transition into attack again.
City closing in on what would be a first win in this league since the 2-1 victory at Brighton on the 1st of February. That is their only previous win actually in the 10 matches before today, the last 10 matches before today. But it will put 15 points between these two clubs at this late stage of the season. Still managed just the one shot on target all game of Leicester City. A goal that put them in front just over half an hour in. Possession very much now in favour of the home side, and it's been continuing and increasing really, I think, as the game has gone on.
Yeah, I think when the stat at the bottom there relates to key passes, and London City have 8 and Leicester City have none, and unfortunately that's been the general tale of the season, in that key passes are passes that relate to shots effectively, and obviously it was a turnover that led to Leicester City's shot and goal, not things that have built up through their play that have led to a final pass that's put someone in a goal scoring position. And that's the real difference between them and everybody else in the league at the moment.
We saw at half-time, didn't we, the XG in that first half for Leicester was only just above 0, despite the fact they had scored the game's opening goal. You see there the zones of control. And London City are very much in control at the moment.
And you can see it's heavily weighted down this right-hand side, which has been the same the whole game for London City, when actually in these last 10 minutes, as they have when they've moved Lucia Corrales higher, attacking on the left has been more prominent when she's been higher. So that's given them another option really, with Poppy Pattinson, Corrales, natural left footers, getting higher up the pitch on that side. It's given them a bit of a balance on both sides of the pitch, but it was heavily weighted down the right when Cascarino was on that side.
Well, that was another case in point of Corrales in advanced territory, trying to provide the cross. She was looking for Izzy Goodwin, but Emma Janssen got there first. So you can see this latest set piece, this latest London City Lionesses corner, Grace Gioro to take. They are looking the more likely, aren't they, to score the game's next goal if there is to be one. by Gioro. Not getting both hands to it. Sends it away from immediate danger. Here's Pattinson. And Perez. Godfrey as the London City substitutes combine.
I think that's harsh. She's fallen over the ball there. She's tripped on the ball, Godfrey. You know, there's pressure on. Obviously, Ashley Neville's staying tight to her, but ultimately she's ended up standing on the ball. So it's a good delivery, much better than the previous one from Gioro, forcing a save from Olivia Clark.
It was a big improvement, wasn't it, on the quality of the corner. And they will have another opportunity here to get the ball into the box.
Important for Leicester City to keep that tight in their line, defensive line here.
Pattinson to take this one, to try and stand it up towards that far post. Olivia Clark's been kept busy. This time the referee has stepped in. Leicester survived that scare, but they can't seem to get out at the moment.
No, I mean, even that, you know, Ashley Neville's dropped into the back post. It's a good delivery, and she's headed it essentially away from Izzy Goodwin, being able to make contact there. But the pressure after that point is just, they're not getting up quick enough to try and limit the opportunities to come back in, but are obviously squeezing the back line up a bit that's catching London City offside, but just not enough to pressure the ball.
Again, getting something on the ball, and it's come. Able to whip it in. Goodwin was in the middle, not quite this time. The intent was all too obvious, but Clark comes away with it. Leicester City, though, are rattled right now, and there isn't much by way of respite. Gioro shifting it on for Godfrey, brings another save from Clark. He's perhaps the busiest player on the pitch just at the moment.
Yeah, it's a fantastic save again. So Gioro just puts it across to Freya Godfrey there. It's just, there's so much space on the edge of the box. This is Lucia Corrales. Obviously, it's that area that she's putting it into where Goodwin's running across the centre-back as well. It's a great delivery from Corrales. And then obviously Freya Godfrey's one on the edge of the box. Two big chances there for London City that Olivia Clark did really well to deal with.
I certainly feel that they could be, and perhaps should be, further clear by now. More and more comfortable, really, for the home side as it's gone on. Cardinal forward up towards Goodwin. If they could get themselves another goal, it would be their biggest win in the Barclays Women's Super League. 3-1 at Aston Villa. The previous biggest margin of success that they are currently on course to equal. Would also be a first ever win against Leicester City, although it's a fairly small sample size because they hadn't met competitively until this season. Two 1-0 Leicester City wins in League and Cup prior to today. Got plenty forward here of Leicester. They did go 1-0 in front, of course, early in the piece this afternoon, but for them it will seem a long time ago already. Here's Neville. It certainly wasn't a long time with which they held the lead. 1 minute 49 seconds before London City's leveller.
Yeah, I mean, I think in that moment there where Ashley Neville's got the ball.
And it goes again, just ran away from Thibaut this time. He put herself in there.
I think she could have, you know, if you're more confident when she gets on it on that left-hand side, she can probably cross that ball before it goes all the way back and then gets delivered into that situation there for Thibaut. And again, it's that opportunity to just really be positive about your touch and try and be a little bit more confident to get that shot off there. There's just opportunities that they could be a little bit more ruthless, Leicester, but because they've not scored loads of goals, I think sometimes it plays a part in your mind where you don't necessarily have the belief to take that chance early.
Thibaut has lost it here. This is Goodwin. Izzy Goodwin trying to catch out Clark. He was having none of it and got down smartly enough to stop her.
Yeah, it's positive from Goodwin. Just driving. The angle that she creates makes it a little bit more challenging. Obviously, Olivia Clark, you'd expect her to cover that near post. I think she does really well because she hits it with some pace there, Goodwin.
Certainly got hold of it, didn't she? Looking for her second goal of the game. Pattinson's been heavily involved on set-piece duty since coming on, and that will continue here. London City Lionesses not settling for what they've got. They are in the mood for more. Pattinson takes. Again, it's into a dangerous area, and that could have gone anywhere. Was over the top, but the whistle had already gone by then.
I was going to say Pattinson's delivery is really good, but I didn't want to curse it before she took the corner, given what we've seen on the corner deliveries today. But it's in such a dangerous area. When it drops like that, we saw obviously Goodwin's quick reaction to the free kick before, and it can be a bit of a nightmare for defenders and goalkeepers in those situations. That chaos. But they defended that well, Leicester City, and obviously created an opportunity. Look to try and play forward a little bit more positively in these areas now. You can see Asmita Ailes coming on in place of McLaughlin.
She had been ever present, Asmita Ailes, until missing the previous game against Brighton through illness, but back into the action a little belatedly today. Is it too late, though, for Leicester City to turn this around? And if they don't, is it too late to salvage their situation at the foot of the standings? Here they come in pursuit of something. And O'Brien, who has profited from a not dissimilar situation once already, trying to do likewise again here, and nearly came the way of Lehman in the middle. So remaining the other player who made way as part of that double change for Leicester, by the way. McLaughlin also coming off.
Hannah Kane's also
Hannah Kane coming on, yeah.
Come onto the pitch.
And here's Godfrey. Kane, who can't stop scoring for Wales, got another couple in the international break, 6 in the last 5 caps, but still without a goal for Leicester City all season. Is by Keese this time. But we talk about the strength in depth that we've seen from London City Lionesses, and of course that's without Daniela van der Donk, who wasn't available today, as Lani missing long term as well, as the ball comes in from Pattinson. It just skips away of Pattinson and behind. But worth a mention, isn't it, the severity of the injury to Kosovaria's Lani in the last game. A big setback for Eder Maestra and his team. Multiple ligament damage, including an ACL, and well, it's going to be a long time, I think, before sadly we see her back on the football field. Yeah,
unfortunately, it's a conversation we have too much, isn't it, about an ACL injury and the severity of that and the length of time it takes for recovery. And I think she was unbelievably effective for this London City team. I think she's a great player, and obviously the leadership element that she brings and experience.
There's Goodwin again, and that's a clever ball towards Gioro, and it's thumped in for 4-1. Grace Gioro scores her first goal for London City Lionesses, does it in emphatic fashion. One of the greats of the game, opening her account for a new club at the end of her first season with them. And London City Lionesses, in their first season at this level, are really enjoying themselves today. They are out of sight as they pile on the problems for Leicester.
Yeah, I think the run from Goodwin is superb. It's between centre-backs, Thibault and Keys, and obviously she gets into that box entry area where she's looking all the time, and just rolls it into that space where she knows Gioro's joining her just underneath the ball. I think it's just really clever play to just roll it into that space, and obviously committed to the finish there, Gioro. It's such a difficult one for Olivia Clark to do anything about from that sort of range. Great finish from Grace Gioro.
Well, it's her first goal since she scored for France against Germany at the European Championship last summer. First in her club career since scoring for Paris Saint-Germain against Saint-Etienne in March of last year. And it's one that really does emphasise the difference between the teams today. It wasn't always obvious for the early stages of the game, and indeed Leicester City did all very briefly lead, but it turned into another chastening afternoon for them in Bromley today.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's you know, the start of the game, I thought Leicester looked really bright, and actually, you know, the number of goals that they've now conceded is probably not a fair reflection on exactly what Leicester City have done, but in terms of their performance, it's improved. But still, you know, the ruthlessness of London City and just the gaps that have too many problems to be able to get into this. In remit and keep that fight up with London City.
The fourth goal that they have been threatening has arrived and converted by Gioro, and they might not be done yet. This is Pattinson, couple in the penalty area to try and pick out as well. Goodwin couldn't quite get the touch to it. Jana Fernandez to keep the danger alive and return it. Clark got something on it. Godfrey's in there to help it in for another one. It's Freya Godfrey off the bench. They are running away with it. London City Lionesses celebrating their biggest ever win in the Barclays Women's Super League. 5-1 before the finish.
Well, that's a way to say that you're battling for the top half of the table for sure, and obviously the goal difference will make a difference in that, more than likely. But again, it's that wide play. Poppy Pattinson's just got on that outside on the left and being able to deliver a really difficult ball, and obviously then it's come across. Fernandez, who's the other fullback, is up and keeping the ball in and around the edge of the box. I think Leicester City might feel like Izzy Goodwin just impacted Olivia Clark there, but I think she had both hands on the ball to secure it, to be honest. So I think it's fair game, and Freya Godfrey just the quickest one to react there to get herself a goal.
Her fifth of the BWSL season, matching Izzy Goodwin goal for goal, both on target today. When Corrales and Marceto and Gioro have all scored their first for the club. It's the last contribution from Izzy Goodwin today, and Corrales making way as part of this double change that was being planned anyway just prior to that goal going in as we go into stoppage time. The end of what has turned into a really one-sided contest. There will be 6 additional minutes, and enough time maybe for London City Lionesses to get themselves a 6th goal the way this is going. Fernandez with the throw. Shepherded behind. That's about all that they could do, all that Julie Thibault could do in the circumstances. And Leicester City heading for an 8th consecutive defeat in the Barclays Women's Super League. The longest losing run in it since 10 in a row at the end of 2022. Winning 17 now, and that against London City, but how the tables have turned today. They did actually meet these two in a pre-season friendly in Leicester at the Belvoir Drive training ground, in the final friendly before the campaign kicked off. London City won that one, 1-0 in the League Cup, beating 1-0 in the last league meeting as well, but what a difference today. It was still in the balance, wasn't it, at half-time?
It was, and I think the gaps have created massively with Leicester, and it's just allowed London City to be really attack-minded and exploit those gaps. And I think with the substitutions they've made as well, that's obviously led to that situation being exploited even more. Really lively players. And I think for me, player of the match, Lucia Corrales, I think she's just been so effective in attacking positions. She's played as the left back and got forward and created a goal scoring opportunity. She scored herself. She's obviously been in a position where she's assisted there and created chances. I think she's just been a real threat on that left-hand side. And I think, you know, Isabel Goodwin's also, you know, had an impact in the game. But for me, I think Lucia Corrales has really impacted London City's progress.
You weren't short of contenders today for that, were you, in that London City side?
No, and to be honest, Cascarino just, you know, coming into the game for the first, as a starting player for the first time, I thought she was fantastic first half, and she's definitely created an impact. So when all these players are fit and healthy, you know, you just can see the squad depth that London City have that cause problems like they have today.
There's Godfrey again, might fancy another one. Contact came just as she got the shot away. It was painful in every sense as it went wide, and Freya Godfrey has stayed down.
I think there was an argument there for a foul with Leicester City, but yeah, it's just a miss-hit, and she's just obviously sliced it a little bit there, just lacking a little bit of composure when she's trying to get a shot off there. But with a goal under her belt already, I think they'll be more concerned that she's okay physically here than that not going on target.
Yeah, I thought the contact came from Ash Neville, but not so, actually, looking at that. And it went anyway from Freya Godfrey, who's come on and got her goal.
We're talking about Issa Cardinal, it's her first game, and see the composure she's just had then. You know, so relaxed on the ball, it's come up in the air, she's controlled it, brought it down, controlled the possession, and obviously given it a simple pass afterwards. It's just, for a young player as well, she's, you know, just got a lot to offer and a lot of potential.
Certainly looked right at home at the back on the ball for London City Lionesses. The experience of Kumagai alongside her, I guess, will help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's had a lot of experience, you know, playing for Ajax over many seasons, as you highlighted earlier, and I think I thought she played with a lot of maturity when she was at Ajax for her age, and I think you've seen that today in her first starting lineup, and she's played forward loads of positive passes positionally. She's made it difficult in 1v1 battles. I think she's had an excellent game as well.
Yeah, achieved a lot very early in her career, didn't she, with Ajax, and now at the start of a new adventure with London City Lionesses, making her first start for the club. She's had to be patient for that opportunity, and from what we've seen, she has certainly appeared to seize it. Last couple of minutes of stoppage time here, and well, for Leicester City, really, the full-time whistle can't come quickly enough now. Losing sequence extends, and another big defeat. Not that long since they lost by 6, was it, at Manchester City? But this one, although the margin isn't quite as big, is maybe even more damaging in the circumstances.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, the job for Rick Passmore was difficult from the start, and I think it was always going to be a challenge this season. But you'd like to think that the team is working hard. You know, they're doing what they can, but I think the performance aspects of it's just been not enough in terms of attacking play over the course of the season. We've highlighted the goals, the XG over the course of the season in comparison to everyone else in the league's been quite low as well. So it's a tough ask for these players. I don't think anyone can question the intent on the pitch. You're watching this game, they've been in it for a long period of time. They're just lacking those little bits of quality in those key moments.
Pattinson sends in the corner right at the end of stoppage time here. Yeah, that's been the story really, hasn't it, for Rick Passmore and his team all season long, and it looks increasingly likely they're going to have to somehow now try and pick themselves up for that playoff game at the end of the season.
Yeah, look, I mean, when you look at the squad overall as well, in terms of their availability, it's been pretty...
Godfrey sizing up the cross here. They're not done yet, London City, are they?
No, not at all, and breaking into the box again here.
Whereas this time, again, it's awkward. Mark is just able to grab it. No respite at all from the home side, despite the fact the game was long since won, really. But it has finished at 5-1. Plenty to celebrate in the sunshine for London City Lionesses.